cameras and microphones. The only people using cameras today should be the speakers, and then only if they choose to do so. You can use microphones for questions later and during the Q&A session. With that, I will hand it off to Mr. Brian Gackstetter to provide the safety briefing for this meeting. Brian?
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Brian Gackstetter. We are in a virtual environment, so please be aware of your surroundings, whether you're at home or in the office. In case of an emergency, please adhere to your office's policy in regards to an emergency situation. And so I'll have a productive meeting. With that, we'll turn it back over to Greg for introductions.
Thank you, Brian. So yeah, I will introduce the folks. I'm Greg Keel. I'm the Rail Division Contracts Manager. Matthew? Is Matthew with us today? Maybe he'll join later. Lisa?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Lisa Wilson. I'm the manager of the Business Opportunity and Workforce Development Unit, and I'm going to talk to you today about the small professional services firms. Thank you.
Brian?
I'm Brian Gackstetter, Senior Project Engineer, Engineering Coordination, Rail Division.
Thank you. And as the presentation progresses, you may enter questions in the chat. We will address those all those questions at the end. And Brian, I guess since we're waiting on Matthew, I'll go ahead and do my presentation. So if we can switch over to the PowerPoint slide. So I want to provide some administrative notes about this advertisement. These notes will be provided to attendees in a follow-up email. I realize that what I'm about to say may sound very dry, but it is crucial to your success. We want everyone to avoid disqualification. And now that I have everyone's attention, I have 12 bullets to cover. And this will be a 5-year contract with option to extend a year. There are specific work codes required for this advertisement. While individual firms are not required to possess all codes, your team as a whole must possess or have applied for all required codes listed in the advertisement. Number 3, the work codes are discipline specific. 4, many disciplines, if not all, will require a North Carolina professional engineer's license. Other licenses may also apply. Number 5, many codes will require firms to be registered with NC Bells. Number 6, please be aware that getting approval or approved for work codes for the first time can take 4 weeks or more. Number 7, I recommend only applying for codes that are relevant to this advertisement. That way you will likely get your approvals done faster. Once you've been approved for these codes, you can always go back and apply for others. Number 8, your team does not have to be approved for all of these codes prior to LOI submittal, but at a minimum, all codes must be applied for prior to submittal. Once you're pre-qualified, you are good for 3 years, but you do have to renew each year on your anniversary. If your anniversary happened recently, you may want to confirm your status. Number 10, upon selection and notice to proceed from PSMU, in order to go to work, teams must be pre-qualified for relevant codes in order to do work on any task that they may be assigned. So at that point, you do have to be approved. As per the advertisement, all questions must be routed through Mr. Robert Stroop of PSMU. Do not contact the Rail Division. When submitting your letters of interest, do not wait until the last minute. If you have any questions about submitting or using the site, send them well in advance of the deadline. Mr. Stroop cannot offer you any grace after the deadline. The deadline referenced in the advertisement is a hard deadline. Next slide, please. If your firm is eligible to be certified as a small professional services firm or SPSF, please do so ASAP. Any eligible and interested firms must be certified at the time that the LOI is submitted if the team intends to use the given SPSFs to help them be considered for selection. Please note the difference between pre-qualification and SPSF. With pre-qualification, you can be approved for codes after submitting. With SPSF, you must be approved or certified prior to submitting. Prime firms can confirm certification status of their team using our online directory of firms. Approval status is shown in real time. Look for certifications. It should say SPSF. If it is blank, they are not certified. Certifications do expire, just like pre-qualifications. That concludes my comments here, and we're now going to hear from Lisa Wilson with more details about SPSF. Lisa?
Okay, thank you, Greg. I have a different slideshow, so I'll go ahead and have that up. So I wanted to first start off by saying that this particular solicitation is not for only SPSFs, but we do encourage you to put those firms on your team to be able to meet all the work codes that are listed in the solicitation. I want to go ahead and let's see if I can get to the next slide here. See. Okay. SPSF program was developed to provide consultant opportunities for firms that meet the eligibility criteria to compete against other consultant firms that are comparably positioned in their industries. We do encourage the primes to add SPSFs to their teams. We also hope that we can increase the revenue generated by small businesses in North Carolina by having this program. We also provide It also provides contract opportunities in engineering and many other professional and technical related types of work. Wanted to point out that recent legislation has codified the program and allowed NCDOT to restrict the bidding of SPSF to SPSF firms for certain contracts, and no dollar amount was set. We do actually have, just for your own knowledge, an SPSF only solicitation on our website at the moment, and it is for planning and design for engineering firms. There is no dollar value set, but it is for SPSFs only. So if you are interested in that, you might want to go ahead and go to our website and check that out. This is the legislation that was recently approved. Just wanted to make sure you guys had a chance to see it. It does say that the Department of Transportation may identify professional services likely to attract increased participation by small professional services firms and restrict the solicitation and award to those firms. And any award of those contracts shall be through the qualifications-based selection process. We do have a system set up now, the guidelines in place to be able to administer this program. And the one that I just mentioned that's on the website is our pilot program. And we're excited about having that out for you guys to take a look at, in addition to this rail solicitation, which involves, the highway work. As Greg said, you do need to renew each year, and we have a portal which that is done at. It's not a paper application anymore. It does need to be done each year. We will not be responsible for reminding you to do that. You need to make sure you do that on your own. It's a fairly simple process. If you're not certified and you're interested, it does go by the SBA size standards, and they're fairly large, to be quite honest. I think engineering is now up to, I want to say 18 million over a 5-year period. So if you're considered small and you want to take advantage of this certification, it's really a self-certification. We do ask that you let us know if you are affiliated with any other firms, because it is designed for small firms. So if you're affiliated with a larger firm, you may not be eligible. It is a race and gender neutral program, however, and we don't set any goals on these particular kinds of projects. Just to note that we've had this program for quite a while, but there never was any really good teeth in it that would make it beneficial for the firms. And now that we've codified it and we've been able to restrict the solicitation of these contracts, it's much more beneficial for small firms. So we're real excited for the industry for that reason. And it is all for firms that provide professional, scientific, or technical work. And I have some contact information for you here. One note also, if you are looking for firms, Greg mentioned you can use our directory of firms, but if you need some assistance in using that and identifying firms who are pre-qualified in certain discipline codes, we are certainly happy to get on the phone with you or get on a Teams meeting and show you how to use that so that you can identify those firms and then you can contact them on your own. And that's really all I had. Unless somebody has some questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Lisa, thank you so much, and I do appreciate you bringing up the new legislation. Very, very helpful. And I've just gotten a text from Matthew. He is available now, and he's going to discuss alternative delivery. Matthew?
Okay, I was on mute, wouldn't come off for a second. I'm Matthew Simmons. I'm the Deputy Director of Rail Division. I just wanted to touch on a couple points related to future contracting opportunities with the department and this contract opportunity. This will not come as a surprise probably to most of you, but if it does, I guess that's why we're saying it. We do not yet know how we're going to progress the procurement of construction of the projects that are covered or construction components that are covered under these various design tasks that are in this advertisement. We may very well go design, bid, build in the traditional manner, in which case we anticipate, though aren't guaranteeing, that we would continue to use the selected firms through 100% plans. If we choose to do something else like design build, progressive design build, CMAR, I don't know why we do that, but anyway, CMAR, then under department policies, anybody who worked on this phase on a particular project would be disqualified from being part of a team soliciting or going after that work at those later phases if it goes design build. What that means in the case of this advertisement is that if you get package, one particular package, if you submit and you're selected for that package, whatever projects are in that package, if we end up letting, just say for a second, 4 design build contracts out of a single package, those 4 design build contracts, you would not be eligible for being on a design build team for those contracts. If that's something that's of concern to you, right? I should say the converse to that is if you're in one package and you get one package in this phase, then we go design build on all of them, or one's in another design package, being on selected for a package, as an example, in Wake Forest would not eliminate you from the ability to have, to be on a design build team submitting for, a design build contract in Henderson or in Raleigh. So again, it's really only about those particular projects you're actually selected for and design up to 30%. If I think the thing here is we know that could give some consultants pause. So here's what we'll say. If there are particular contracts that you think you're best qualified for, feel free to please indicate that. We are not going to guarantee you that we'll select you for those contracts, but you're welcome to indicate that and we'll take that into consideration. If there are contracts that you do not want because you say, you know what, there's a chance that bridge over there is going to go design build, and I want to be able to compete for that design build contract, no matter what, then you can feel free to write in that there are certain packages you will not accept or do not want to be assigned to at this phase, and we will take that into consideration and we will not assign you to those contracts. So, that's the way to avoid that. If there's a particular thing that you think might go design build that you want to be on a design build team for. So that's really what we wanted to say. We wanted to make sure that we were not surprising anybody with this at a later date. If we firms might say, oh, I didn't know this was going to go design build, and we don't either, again, for confirmation there. We don't know whether these will go design build or not, or whether they'll be design build or something else. But that is where we are. So I guess I'll say I'll take any questions. Or Greg, should we leave questions for the end?
Yeah, let's leave them for the end, unless you need to cut out.
I'm fine to wait.
Okay. So. All right. Very good. Well, I'll take it on to Brian then. Thank you very much. We got Brian Gackstetter, who will provide project background and design overview. Brian.
Thanks, Greg. It's no surprise y'all have seen this back in December, so we just kind of wanted to redo a refresh of the projects themselves. So again, there's 8 projects. The first one is P5753 AE. That's in Raleigh. That is the Morgan Street grade separation and Jones Street pedestrian grade separation. P5753 AH, which is in Northern Wake County. Gresham Lake Road grade separation, Liga Mill Road grade separation, and the Sewell Road closure extension there in Wake Forest. The next one up in Youngsville is the P5753 BE. That is the Pine Street grade separation, the Main Street grade separation, the Franklin Street pedestrian grade separation, the extension of Cross Street, and the future NC 96 bypass grade separation there in Franklin County. Next series in Northern Franklin County is P5753 BF. It is the Burt Winston Road grade separation, the Cedar Creek Road grade separation, the Hawkins Street pedestrian connector, as well as the Hawkins Street extension, College Street pedestrian connector, NC 56, and the Mason Street pedestrian grade separation in Franklinton. The next one is P5753 BG, which is the US 1A to Winston Street connector, which is a railroad grade separation. The Montgomery Road to US 1 connector, and those are in Franklin County. And then the Oak Ridge Church Road grade separation there in Southern Vance County. Next is P5753 CH, which is the Warrenton Road grade separation, Greystone Service Road, and Greystone Road grade separation there just north of Henderson in Vance County. Next is the P5753 DD, which is the US 401-158 Main Street Rose Warrenton Plains Road work there in Norlina, and then the Warrenton Plains Norlina grade separation just outside of Norlina there in Warren County. And then the last one in northern Warren County is P5753 DE, which is the Weldon Road extension to Wise 5 Points Road, Wise 5 Point Road to US 1 connector grade separation, and then the US 1 to Feltz Road connector. So those are the projects that are in the RFP. And with that, we will open up to questions as a whole.
And Brian, we've got question here from Doug Sanders. Is it required that we identify the projects we would like to be considered, or are we, if we're interested in all, should we state so in the LOI?
My answer would be, if you're interested in all of them, then leave it blank. We'll take into consideration as you're interested in all of them.
Okay. And then, does the department desire projects be described in project approach individually or general approach collectively?
Repeat that one more time.
Does the department desire projects be described in project approach individually or general approach collectively?
General approach.
Okay, thank you. It will. Here comes some. Will firms and sub-consultants that were chosen for the R2R rail project be prohibited from submitting on this submittal? I guess they're referring to Brad's recent advertisement.
I would say they wouldn't be. That's two different contracts.
Okay. Also, could you discuss the R. Floyd addendum changes? And that's the stuff we sent in just the other day.
And that was just the pond removal, correct?
I think that's right. And there may
Yeah.
be some other addenda to come, but I think that's the one that was there.
Yeah, so the addendum that was pushed out just the other day was the removal of the pond analysis. We determined that all the ponds will be removed based on the ROD that was signed. So we don't anticipate that we will need that support as a part of this contract.
What type of design activities are required for Code 396 intercity passenger and high-speed rail track design and layout?
I think Brad is the best one to fit the answer to that one. That is in their wheelhouse. We put that in there because of the fact of our old contracts used to have railroad bridges in those. For this part, we don't anticipate any track design associated with this design. So we've listed that now. We potentially will do an addendum showing that as optional.
Okay. Can you explain the requirement for Tier 3 hydraulic design?
Just what is shown in the qualifications.
Hey, Greg, this is Scott.
Yeah.
I'm unable to put anything in the chat. I don't know if anyone else has experienced in that to submit the questions.
Go ahead and ask your question then, if you would.
Oh, okay. Yep. This has to do with some continuing on with the codes, the clarification of the code 27. You've got capacity analysis level 3, based on the requirements. That's for high level interchange, high volume interchange traffic. Is that necessarily needed?
That will be associated with an addenda that we will remove that.
Okay. And then the same for code 174 and 204. It's the water transmission and the sanitary sewer outfalls, which are, major designs. They're not the collection system. So is that another 2 codes that might be removed?
Those we're going to leave in place as we don't quite know exactly what, that's a future design aspect, correct?
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's something that would not be part of this contract, but ultimately we are looking to get these all to final design in some fashion should funding come available. So we want to make sure our options are open.
Okay. And then
And some of these do
another,
cross in those areas, so we just need to
Yeah.
make sure of that.
okay, gotcha. And then another one, if I can, code 541, the traffic management, that's level 1 and 2, which is interstate type of traffic management plans. Any anticipation of interstate type of traffic management plans for this work?
There is that potential of that happening, just not 100% sure again at this point. These is only the 30%. That is again a final design task order.
Okay, yep, that explains it. Okay, thank you.
And Brian, I've got 2 here. One is in text, one is a raised hand. So I'm going to read the text first. What activities are anticipated for 364 MSC retaining wall design, since those services are normally performed post bid?
That is correct. Those are mostly designed post bid, but if there again is a situation that may warrant that in the future as we get through designs, as some of these are in a very tight situation that might warrant that, we want to make sure that we have the firms available to do that as necessary.
That's it. Josh,
Brian,
you've got your hand up.
Brian, this is Matthew. I'm going to just add a caveat, or not a caveat, but a thing to that, right? I said before that we weren't sure how we were going to deliver these projects. That's true both directions. There is tremendous pressure to deliver these projects quickly. If there are things that we think we can do in final design that would speed up or ensure that to reduce the risk on construction, that might make the project overall be delivered faster. There may very well be things that we will do to do that in final design. I don't know if any of that would apply at 30% necessarily. But if you want to highlight things you think that may fit that in your letter of interest, you can. I don't know that there's going to be room, but if you wanted to, you could. But that is, so again, to what Brian was just saying, there's chances, like with an MSE wall, for instance, normally we wouldn't design that. But if we think we need to reduce risk or ensure something can be done correctly or speed up a construction timeline, maybe MSE walls aren't this specific example, but something that might normally be delayed for construction, there's every chance in the world that if we do go design, bid, build, and we see some downtime somewhere in the schedule where we can get something done that would speed up construction, there's a chance we would do it. And so I'll just say it that way and leave it, but I wanted to make sure that that really does go both ways in terms of not knowing project delivery method right now.
Thank you, Matthew. Josh Dalton.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the Tier 3 hydraulic design question. That's 2D modeling, which is normally only required in tidal coastal bridges. Just curious why type 2 or Tier 2 hydraulic design is not adequate for these projects.
We can look into that further.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see. I may be able to answer this one. If a firm acts as a primary consultant, can they also serve as a sub-consultant to another firm? I would say yes, from a contractual standpoint. Brian, do you or Jamal have any issue with that?
No, we've seen that before.
Yeah. Okay. In some RFPs sent out by the department, there's an option to add sub-consultants as needed. Will there be an option for this under this contract? That there will be, but please get as many as you anticipate on your team, because it takes extra time to add those sub-consultants. Brian, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, we would like to see your complete team when you submit these LOIs to us. So adding sub-consultants later, yes, it can be done, but we prefer to see your entire team as you take to deliver the project up front.
Oh, and I think there's another text here I missed. Can you please clarify where the modified rail PDN noted in the RFLOI can be viewed?
That is yet to be circulated. We're in draft format right now, so that is being worked through the process. We hope to have that here shortly.
For clarification, will the GESC teams be eligible to pursue design sections that they are not reviewing? I believe they, as long as there's not a conflict of interest, I think they can do that, but I'll defer back to you, Brian.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And Brian, this is Jamal. One thing I wanted to add, as far as design, you mentioned being able to take this through final design. I would expect most people know, but they may not, that we have an application out right now, right, that would fund, taking plans all the way through final right away in construction from Raleigh to Wake Forest, and then we're actively pursuing avenues to try to fund other parts of the corridor to take that past 30%. So that's why we're really focused on, having a team that's set and could be able to do a set of plans all the way through final. So just wanted to make sure that was noted.
And to add to that, just so that everybody knows, we actually have two grants out right now. One is for final design and construction, 100% plans and construction for Raleigh to Wake Forest. The other grant we actually have outstanding would take from 30% plans to right-of-way plans for, I believe, the entirety of North Carolina, plus purchasing right-of-way in portions of North Carolina, and leaving construction for later grants. So, and leaving 100% plans for later grants. So that's another, we have two different grant applications applied for currently that have the potential to take, either portions or the entirety of of what is being advertised here to at least right-of-way design and maybe to 100% plans as well.
Let's see. Got one last question here. Can you describe why mitigation monitoring is in the required pre-qualifications?
Again, that is a final design aspect. We want to leave that in place just in case we run into a situation with that environmentally.
Very good. Yeah, and for folks, just to keep in mind, we're having a 100% view of this. Is that right, Brian? I know that funding only takes us to 30, but I think we're having to view this from a 100% standpoint. Is that a fair
That is
statement?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
That is why a lot of these codes are in there, is because we want the firms to be capable of taking this to 100%.
All right, there is a hand up, but let me get to this text first. The EIS was completed. Are there any pending changes in some sections that could require additional environmental studies?
You're looking at that at a high level at this point. I don't think Ron is on here, right?
No, I don't
Don't
believe
think
so.
Okay. But at this
Hey,
point, no.
Hey,
Go
Brian,
ahead.
this is Meredith Van Dyne. Any NEPA reevaluations or reexaminations would be coordinated with FRA at a later stage of design, not at 30.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Scott Boyle?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. In the RFLOI, it has on the criteria 3 for the selection criteria, of course, to meet the May 2025 schedule, and that's what would be scored against, and ability to meet that. It does in the last page of the RFLOI under the project, I think it's described as milestones and dates. It does give again the ability to meet the May 2025. Just to confirm, is it the intent to be able to see a schedule within the LOI?
That schedule, clarify your question.
Yeah, we're going to be rated against the ability to meet that May 2025,
Right.
and that's a criteria selection. So is it required as part of the LOI to have a project schedule that will show you how we can meet that?
It is not a requirement, but it's certainly something that you can provide.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any noise analysis / walls work codes anticipated at this time could affect right-of-way cost estimates and drainage layout cost.
At this time, we do not anticipate that, but again, that is something that will be looked at in the next phase.
And I guess that, there was a follow-up question there. Could that affect and maybe you've just addressed it, but I just want to make sure. Could that affect right-of-way cost estimates and drainage layout cost?
It always has that ability to potentially do that, but typically we do not do noise walls with our projects.
Okay. And which segments do RK&K and TGS have oversight on?
That is a loaded question because it is a mixed bag. We do not have that delineated specifically as between north and south. We've got that divvied up in segments or by location.
But it does include all of North Carolina.
That is correct.
They're covering all of North Carolina for the road over grade separations and new location roads. If that kind of helps answer that one too.
And those firms are aware of their locations.
Any other questions? If anybody's typing right now, send me a quick ping or raise your hand. Okay, here's one. Is there an estimated date on Addendum 1 with revised pre-qualifications and modification and modified PDN?
I think we would like to do that all as one addendum on the 18th.
Yeah, the rest, we've got one out there, but the rest will be out there on the 18th. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, I think you've got a question. Let's see, does completing the 30% plans by May 2025 include plan reviews and comment disposition?
Yes. We have to be complete, signed off by the next May of 25. And that includes all stakeholders as well.
And Brian, right now what we're looking at is for internal review to be 10 days, right? And then we know external stakeholders could take longer than that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, again, raise your hand if you're in the middle of typing. That way I'll know to wait. Oh, here we go. Is there an anticipated NTP? Are you referring to the? Yeah, I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, he's referring to this NCP with our contracts. We anticipate that would be late February, early March. So we anticipate having a selection sometime in November, or notifying them by November, I should say.
Yeah, we should have the selection in October.
Yes, we'll notify y'all hopefully by sometime in November. And then start working to get everybody on contract, and then have the NTP February, March.
Okay, do you see the need for any public involvement during the 30% stage?
Not at the 30% stage. It's very well possible that could occur in the next phase of work.
So let me clarify just a little bit on that. There will, in all likelihood, be some public involvement going on. It's not anticipated that the designers will necessarily, the people on these teams will need to be involved in that in any particular way, and certainly not coordinating or managing it. there may be, some miscellaneous hours for attending meetings with, city managers or something who have comments on, things, or council members who bring up a thing. But there's not an expectation that these teams would lead or coordinate that public outreach. Instead, that would be managed by our project and planning and development branch consultants who are engaged on the project in all likelihood. But there's not a formal public workshop process planned at this phase at all. But there could still be small group meetings or something like that occurring related to specific concerns.
Do you see the need for, I'm sorry, would public meeting displays be anticipated from the firms as part of their incidental work?
Matthew, again, there would not be expected to be public meetings per se at this stage. There might be, again, stakeholder involvement. Obviously in terms of final scopes, right? When we actually do final scopes on this work, there is a possibility that there'll be line items for some level of additional drawings needed for various reasons, right? So public meetings, or I should say small group meetings, or design review details or something like that. But that would be detailed in the scope more so than it would be something that would be expected to be covered in any detail in an LOI response, from my perspective. Jamal or Brian can correct what I just said if they need to.
I think that's accurate, Matthew. And, there's some interaction going on now, right? With, things like TOD. There's some back and forth going on now. But I think the way you described it is accurate.
I mean, there could also just be, just to be abundantly honest and open about this, it would not surprise me at all if in some of these locations there was coordination that ended up occurring with developers, or other property owners who have interests in trying to identify how our projects may impact them. Would there be small roll plots or things like that needed for those? Maybe, but it's not going to be the formal public involvement process that will continue again in between 30% plans and right-of-way plans is the current expected process. And I'll note, in case there's a question about it, again, we would not anticipate that effort would be led by these teams. It would instead be led by teams or consultants selected by our project development, planning and development branch.
All right, Mr. Palmer, have I missed any text? Do you or Meredith see any that I've missed?
Don't see any additional ones at the moment.
I don't see any additional ones either, Craig. The last one about public meeting displays is the last one I see.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed anybody, and don't see any more hands raised right now. Any of the other department staff need to say anything, or are we good?
Well, I'll just add that the department appreciates everybody's interest in this work, and good luck. Is good luck the right thing to say? I don't know. Good luck.
Sure. Best wishes. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We do wish you the best, and again, any questions that you have while the advertisement's up, please direct those to Robert Stroop at PSMU, and if he can't answer them, then he'll get back with us, and we'll get an answer to you. But thank you for joining us today. Be looking in your email in the days to come. I should have this this YouTube video coming out that has this recorded meeting, as well as my comments and some links that hopefully will be helpful to you. So thank you again, and have a good day.